Hey, everyone, it's Shelby from Travel Fun. Hey, I want to talk about some serious stuff that's been happening on cruise ships. I want to address a lot of questions that I get from people I know in Florida, especially because in Florida they have medical marijuana cards that people don't think are illegal to bring on board because they have a medical card. I also want to talk about some people that have been trapped in paradise again for things that they just didn't realize. And before I get into this, I just want to again mention that we understand that people just love to travel. They think they can just click and go, but one of the benefits of having a travel advisor is that we have our finger on the pulse about this. So if you were going to hear it from anyone, you'll probably hear it from your travel advisor before you go somewhere. And I have known people to get in a lot of trouble, and they don't even realize that they're breaking the law. And I want to also shout out right away to any of those people that are rebuttaling with, "Oh, you need to know the where you go. You have to know all the laws." This is, in my professional opinion, a very narrow viewpoint of anyone's time and energy. There are laws that we have in this country that you don't even know you would break. So it's a lot to ask people to know all the laws in all the other countries, especially some, for example, where you're not allowed to wear camouflage. Like that wouldn't be something that anyone would think of, and it's not put in print, very easy to find. So definitely subscribe and like and follow our pages because we do go over this periodically and we're always trying to help you guys. And honestly, people are busy. And these laws were not put in place in order to hurt American tourists. So this is where I get very frustrated because these laws are put in place for people that are actually doing things that are very bad. So if you want to see so black and white in your life that you feel like it's okay for people to be torn from their homes, spend thousands of dollars in legal fees, all because of a complete misunderstanding that was never meant, the law was never meant for these tourists, that's on you. I'm much more of a forgiving person, and I also see that people are very busy and that the intention is very important to me in all of my world, in every area of my life. Intention is very much important because I know there are misunderstandings a lot in business. I know there are misunderstandings in friendships, but intention is very important. So I am completely against this happening to any tourists, and I just want to try to help you guys. For those of you who are not aware and that travel, please comment if you can hear me or if you have questions. It does help the algorithm, and also, I want to make sure that you're actually listening. So I will start with, before we get into the two big ones, I want to make sure that you have seen our website. So please do check our website for all of our group sailings. We have a ton of fun group sailings going on. And I don't think any of them, one of them will go to one of these ports that someone has been arrested in lately. But please don't forget to go to travelfun.biz. That's how we feed the family and how we help you at the same time. It's such a win-win. So I'm just going to share my screen for just a moment and get you guys going. By the way, tomorrow we're going to be interviewed by WPTV, a news channel. We're going to be at the Boca Chamber of Commerce. I'm very excited. So that's an exciting new adventure for us. We're going to have some fun things to tell you about travel agents. But we book all travel. A couple of the big ones, we are voted Best of Florida 2024. That's exciting. There's a Sicily singles vacation. We book all travel, not just singles, but we do have a singles Sicily vacation, a 40s plus weekend single sailing. That's a Richie DeLeo and Scott Walker from HH Social. Super cool, fun group. Mostly ages 50s plus, but it's a 40s plus sailing. I want to remind you guys that this will probably be the last weekend sailing we do for at least a year. And I just want to be totally transparent. We do this for you, for people that really want to try a single sailing, but don't want to commit to the 7 days, because this is a complete loss leader for us. So we don't make money in the company for this, and it's hosted and it's groups and there's cocktail parties and theme nights. It's a tester. So if you actually want to test it out, I would do it this time because it's not going to come around for a while. We're doing a Power Couples Power Yacht Cruise in Greek Isles. That's an amazing ship, amazing experience, a very, very luxurious at a fraction of luxury cost, but it is luxury. So that is an amazing fun trip there. We have the Travel Fun Balloon Albuquerque Festival. That's going to be for singles. Then they have the Greek Island Getaway. That's with Scott and his group. So they're not just singles, but there are a lot of singles. That's 9 days on land in the Greek Islands. That is sold out right now, but there is a wait list. And you know how that goes. People do end up leaving or having emergencies. Another one for singles and couples we have is the Halloween cruise on Virgin Voyages. There is going to be a VIP screening, a movie launch party with I would call it an indie horror movie. He likes to call it a thriller. And it is very cool. It's done by a comedian Carl Ribby, who will also be doing a comedian show for you guys. But you'll have Q&A sessions with the cast, writers, and director. And it is pretty awesome to be able to hobnob with someone who has actually made a feature film that we are so excited to be a part of. So that's on Halloween, adults only for that one. There's also a land vacation. This one's for the singles again. That one is going to be out in Romania. Can you imagine spending Halloween in Romania? There's so much amazing history there too. The Great Pyramids in Nile River. So there's a Great Pyramids in Nile River cruise. This one's for the singles. And then we have All People Welcome. We have 44 people already coming. Magical Iceland Northern Lights trip. It's not a cruise. It's a land trip. Then there's a singles Costa Rica. And then Join the Cancun crew. This is with Amy and Liz as your hosts. And this is all are welcome. There are mostly couples going on this one, all fun people having a great time. Then there's a singles Honolulu, Hawaii vacation. There is a Sacred Land of the Incas. That is going to be for the singles too. Passions for the Thailand. Temptation Sexy Singles. This is for singles or couples. This one is our wildest of the year. It's once a year they have this. It's a 5-night adults only. The drinks are included. This is a completely different aspect of anything we sell. I want to also remind people it is not like hedonism. It is flirty, not dirty. Not that we want to judge anyone, but we just don't get behind any of that hedonism stuff. But this is definitely flirty and it's tops optional at the pool. So it is a wild, wild, wild. Then we have the HH Social Club ski trip. That's in Maribel, France, March 7th. That's 2025. And that is going to be one of our first ones. We already have a third sold out already, and it just launched like last week. So if you're looking for fun people to ski with at an amazing resort, it's fantastic. Then there's a Paris Solos River Cruise, Carol's birthday on the Oasis of the Seas. And then one of our pinnacle trips, the Power Couples Dreams of Tahiti. Take your sweetie to Tahiti. So that's what we've got going on for groups. Of course, we do sell all travel. We want you to know you can find any of these at travelfunbiz.com. Okay, so moving right along, a couple things we want to make sure you know about is going to be this Trapped in Paradise. So this has happened now, I think, 5 times in the last couple of months. There has been arrests made to Americans that have ammunition in their bags. Now, once again, I want to be really firm with this. You can believe what you want to believe, but I don't believe anyone should be arrested and detained in a foreign country over something that they mistakenly had in their bag. The reason that they have a no ammunitions policy in this place is because of the fact that they don't want their citizens to have guns. There's a lot of people that, have their own issues with this, but let's not talk politics. That's the reason. They don't want their people to have guns, and they obviously don't want you to bring ammunition to them for their hidden guns, okay? So this is a law that was put in place to stop them from allowing citizens to either fight the police or be problems themselves. And that's why they don't want you to have ammunition. They certainly did not mean this for in transit, going on vacation. I was just on a hunting trip. I forgot a couple bullets in my bag, stray bullets, to be, arrested, incarcerated, fined. That's not what the intent of the law was all about. And that's where I really find this to be super upsetting, is that yes, it's nice to know the laws of everywhere you go, but I have been a lot of places and I have not known the laws of everywhere I go. You can't possibly. In fact, I remember in Singapore, they were telling me before I got off, if you spit on the street, you could be arrested. I thought they were joking, frankly. I mean, I was in my 20s, but I was like, what? I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but that was the truth. And that's how I learned that law. So, and there was nowhere to research. We have the internet now, but the internet's got so much crap on it. Not all of it is true. So it's hard to know. But this particular one, I'm going to share the video clip from this news channel because I think it's important, and you guys can listen to him. Here we go.
Colton Island's police force confirmed to me the most recent arrest. They would not say if that visitor was an American, but two island media outlets are reporting it was an American woman. This would be the fifth American tourist detained there on possession of ammunition charges in the past 6 months. And this arrest comes as Tyler Wenrick, one of the Americans currently detained on the island on the same charges, was in court today. The case of one of the American men who is detained in the TCI charged with possession of ammunition is being expedited. Tyler Wenrick of Virginia was in court today. Wenrick's father tells me the judge said he received a practice and direction order from the Chief Justice with an expedited timeline for the case. Written arguments in the case will be submitted within 7 days, and oral arguments in a plea hearing are now scheduled for next Tuesday. Sentencing for Wenrick could happen next week or by May 28th at the latest. Wenrick was arrested April 20th. He was a passenger on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship and had been on a day excursion on Grand Turk Island. Royal Caribbean security found 2 bullets in his bag as he reboarded the ship and turned him over to TCI authorities. In comparison, the cases of Americans Michael Lee Evans of Texas, who was charged in December, Brian Hagerich of Pennsylvania, who was charged in February, and Ryan Watson of Oklahoma, who was charged in early April, are still ongoing. The Wenricks were not given any explanation of why the case is being expedited. Hagerich is scheduled to be sentenced on May 29th. Watson's next court date is June 7th, and Evans is facing a sentencing hearing currently scheduled for June 18th. The 4 men have all admitted to being in possession of bullets, but say it was an innocent mistake. Leslie Gatus, NBC 10.
So, okay, so that's one. Turks and Caicos, you can't have any stray bullets. So how come this is surprising too? Because now went through TSA, right? They flew there, very likely, and they didn't see the bullets. And then they went on board and they just went along their cruise, and then they got off the ship with a bag, like just a regular backpack. Didn't realize that there was a bullet or 2 in there from a different trip. No intention of selling anyone any bullets because they came back on the ship, and that's when the ship security saw it. So the ship security turned them in. And that's what you need to realize, is that the ship security will actually turn you in and to the authorities of whatever country you're in at the time. And this is different than it ever used to be. Actually, ship security used to sort of protect people from stuff like this. I was in Barbados, for example, one time as a crew member, and this was many, many years ago. I was off on my own bicycling. I had rented a bicycle, and it was a Sunday. And a Sunday in Barbados, I mean, nothing is open. There are no cars. It is like, it really feels like almost dead man zone, except for there are people on the beach, because they take that Sunday really seriously, and they go to church and they do family stuff. So no one was on the roads. And so I was by myself on the road on a bicycle, and I wasn't really obeying traffic signals. You can imagine, if you've been to Barbados, there's not a lot of traffic signals. There was no traffic. And I was on the wrong side of the road, I guess, because they go on the other side of the road. Anyway, I was just driving along and getting back to the ship, and I was stopped by a police officer, which I kept going because I had no idea he was trying to come after me. Why would he? And he was very angry when he got out. He's like, why wouldn't you stop? I was like, I did not realize you were trying to stop me. I'm on a bicycle. And he's like, yeah, well, right now I can get you for 5 different arrests. And I'm like, he's just scaring me. And I'm confused, of course. And I'm saying, I don't understand exactly what is happening here, but ultimately he was trying to extort me for money until he found out I was from the cruise ship. And I said, well, come to the cruise ship. We could talk to the security guard. And the security, head of security, I actually teach dance classes on board with him because he loved dance. So I was the cruise director teaching dance. He wanted to be part of that. So we were actually very friendly. And it didn't even take within 30 seconds of them talking that he was like, no problem, shall we just go back on board? But again, that was back in the day when security was actually helping people on the cruise ships, and for these weird reasons that you should not be arrested for. If anyone believes I should be arrested for being on a bicycle in my 20s in Barbados on a Sunday going down the wrong way, I mean, then I don't know, you must live a totally different life than I do. So hallelujah. But anyway, that was back in the day. Nowadays, the security is actually, I think security really takes their job super seriously, which they should. But like everything in life, a lot of people aren't speaking English. It's not their first language. They have these really stringent rules. They don't see any gray. They see only black and white. So you are really at risk when you're on the cruise ship now, because these people are against you. They're not for you. They are not trying to protect you. That's something you really need to understand. So the Royal Caribbean security in this particular incident had reported him to the authorities, and then the authorities took him off the ship, even though they realized he'd already been off and back on with these bullets. So he certainly didn't sell them. And I want to be clear, the intent of the law is to keep bullets out of the hands of their citizens, which I disagree with. But anyway, and so they don't want their citizens having bullets. Okay, well, none of their citizens had bullets. This was in his bag before, it was in his bag after, but still he's arrested, detained, months of being in a Turks and Caicos prison. Okay, and if you can imagine the amount of stress that causes a family, and a lawyer's bill, boom, cha-chang, that just cost him, I'll give a guesstimate of $25,000-$30,000 in lawyer's fees right away, because you have to get a lawyer that's internationally recognized and understands the law there, and they love to take your money quickly. So that to me is a horrific experience, and they could lose their jobs, I'm sure, and regardless of what happens. And they've been letting them off with like $10,000 fines, but they're going to have a record now, a criminal record. Like that's insane to me. And the way your records flow and the way life is going, these things affect you in such a huge way. And it's really sad to me. And I think, honestly, Turks and Caicos should be ashamed of themselves, as well as the security team on board. That's my feeling. I am not okay with this. I do not agree with this. I think we need to start thinking about intention. And if you are that serious about the law, then you need to start giving that information very, very easily, consumably to guests that are getting on board, so that they can check. Because every place has a different law. There are laws, by the way, in Dominica, where if you wear camo, you can get arrested, because only their police force is supposed to wear camo. Again, that's been a law for many, many years. Now you can look that stuff up online. But you might not know you're going to Dominica. That could be a ship change. You could end up there because you missed a different port and you didn't even realize you were going there. So for those people that feel so indulgent that they should know every single thing in about these ports, that would be a situation where you might not realize that. They don't really enforce that much, though, by the way. But these things should really be given as informational pieces to guests in very upfront and very obviously, like they do with all the other things that are really not consequential. Like, for example, there's still, since Norwalk, giving out handwritten papers you have to write down that you weren't sick in the last 5 days, that you didn't feel nauseous, that you didn't XYZ. All of that is superficial and superfluous. But yet, they could have you, hey, do you have any ammunition, bullets, stray bullets? We'll get you arrested and detained, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, most likely losing your job and your future. Like, not okay. So that's what's happening in Turks and Caicos. So if you are going there, it's a beautiful place, by the way. If you are going there, please be very careful. Another thing I get all the time since living in Florida is the marijuana card, the marijuana card question. And I get this a lot from people. I think they almost don't want to ask me, but then they're like, oh, well, she does do travel, so I'll ask her. And they were totally planning on bringing it. And I have to say no several times, different ways, because this is the way the conversation goes. Oh, well, I have my marijuana card. I just use it for sleep or whatever it is. It's just an oil or whatever they say. And can I bring that on the plane to Italy? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Oh, but I have a card. No, absolutely not. Oh, but what if I have a note? No, absolutely not. You are not allowed. You got to be so careful. In fact, any place, and I know there's some places, I think Oregon allows all drugs now, which is it's a total shit show there in Oregon, by the way. That did not go well. So please don't do that to Florida. But there's places that all drugs are allowed or decriminalized, where they say it's decriminalized, and then they go, well, you can get a fine, but you want to fine a drug addict? How do you think that goes? It doesn't go well. The police don't do anything. They can't do anything. They just let everything go to hell in that city. So please don't do that to us. But that's definitely what's happening. I know Colorado is definitely doing more recreational use, and that doesn't sound to be going so well either for the downtowns and businesses. But ultimately, for anybody that has these cards, it does not matter. Now, you can bring prescription drugs that are like ridiculously bad for you. So things like Vicodin or any of those painkillers or opioids, if you have prescriptions, apparently you can bring them. As far as I know, you have to double check, but as far as I know, that's okay. But you can't bring marijuana. And also they have now drug dogs on some of these ships for that reason. And so before you even get on, those drug dogs are going around sniffing for marijuana. And now, even though you have a card, doesn't matter. You can be kicked off the ship. You can be fined. I'm sure you could be arrested. I don't know that they've arrested anyone yet, but I'm not sure, at least in Florida. And any other place, like if you have it in your bag and you forgot, and then you went back and forth to the beach, and then the security finds it and they report you to the local authorities, and in that island it is illegal, which a lot of islands it is illegal. I know for most Americans, they think like, oh, Jamaica, man, it's all good. It is not all good. It's actually not all good at all. So do not do that, and never, ever, 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 ever buy drugs from anyone in port. Okay. Like, please, like, I don't care. I know a lot of people, I'm from Massachusetts, so I know that that's a cultural thing in Massachusetts. A lot of people are brought up with marijuana as being a non-big deal drug. And doesn't matter what your personal views are. In a lot of these islands, it is very serious. So never, 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 never buy anything like that. And I want to bring Christine Duffy on, she was on the news the other day, and she will tell you herself, which I think is better. So let's have her do that. And I will share her screen.
Let me remind guests that while marijuana and cannabis products may be legal in some states, we are required to follow federal law.
And federally, marijuana, even medical marijuana, remains illegal. Carnival says the drug sniffing dogs will be used at the terminal and on board, sometimes regularly, sometimes random. If guests are found violating the policy on a Carnival cruise, they could face up to a $500 fine.
Okay, so you could get a fine. Don't forget, you could also be arrested in port, but that definitely can happen. It is serious. So please tell your friends and get the word out, because it really hurts my soul to see good people having problems like this following them and not realizing what kind of trouble they're in. And I happen to understand that life is very broad and people are very busy and they go on trips and they just don't realize, and they would not have time or even think to Google something like that. Okay. So I get it. But it is really sad. So please be careful with things like that, because it can really wreck your life, and not just your week, just your whole entire life. It really is upsetting how serious they take this. And the legal system is all about taking your money, and nobody wins except for the lawyers win. So the lawyers always win. Anyway, okay, so that's really important for you guys to know. I hope that's helpful. Make sure you guys like this, share it, and also definitely go to our YouTube, or even better, go to X, because that is the only place with uncensored social information at this point. Every place else is all censored. So if you feel like you're getting both sides of the story, I assure you, you are not, unless you're at least on X, because on all these other platforms, they are making sure that you only only hear just a little bit, and they're persuading you on lots of things, including your election. So please get on social media that's not censored. And currently the only place that I know of that's a public domain is X. So please get there and get your information on. I'm Shelby. You're fabulous. I'm always wishing you well. Talk to you later.